Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reds Rundown podcast, hosted by two lifelong Reds fans and journalists. I'm Rob, he's Joe, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Joe, another week of Reds baseball. Things are flying high. You have a lot coming up this week with the NFL draft as well. How are you doing today?
Doing good. It's always good when the Reds can win for a week. I know I said last week or 2 weeks ago that we let this team affect our mental health too much, but this was a week where they did the things they should have done in a lot of ways, and the kind of the easy things to take care of. They took care of the easy things, and that sometimes is the most frustrating thing for us. Is they'll do the hard things, like they'll go beat the Dodgers, but then they'll come back and lose to teams they shouldn't lose to, or make some errors, or do something stupid. And this week was a pretty clean week.
Yeah, I think overall, we definitely have, I think, some things to discuss this week. I will be complaining about a few things, but overall, things are looking pretty good for our Cincinnati Reds, and we're just going to have to hope and pray that they continue to do so, Joseph. I am very excited. Let's get into it. Before we do, as always, make sure you guys like and subscribe. We are continuing to build out this Reds Rundown podcast. We do it weekly here, so if you're new, please, give us a thought. You can also find us on everywhere where you can get podcasts. So make sure that you do that. Let us know in the comment section below. Do you believe the Reds can sustain the winning that they are doing right now, Joe? They are currently winning at an almost 64% clip, which is pretty impressive to say the least. But as always, we are going to walk through what we're going to do today. So, question of the day, Joe, is when does JJ Bleday get the call up? What is it going to take for that to happen? I think that that's going to be something that we will be discussing at length today. But we will also go over the games this week against the Giants and the Twins. We'll have a larger hitting discussion about what's going on with the team in that. We'll talk a little bit about why the Reds are in first place and how you should feel about that. We'll also go over quick injury updates and then the upcoming games against the Rays and the Tigers this week. We continue to stay in the American League, Joe, which has been, for the most part, working for the National League once again. I don't really understand why. I don't know. I mean, I know the National League is generally pretty good. I'll give you guys just a quick hint here. The Reds are 9-3 against the American League. Overall, the Cardinals 9-6, Pirates 5-1, Cubs 5-4, Brewers 10-5. The NL Central absolutely carrying the National League right now, which is wild against the American League. But yeah, let's start with the games this week, Joe. The Giants series was an interesting one for the Reds. The Reds would start off winning 2-1. Here in a great game, the first really good game for Brady Singer. He went 6 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run on the home run by Willy Adames. Only 1 strikeout, which is concerning. He is not getting a lot of swings and misses, but he is getting soft contact. It would be a Spencer Steer and Sal Stewart each hitting a home run. The Reds would only eke out 3 hits to the Giants' 7, but this team is built around pitching and defense. They did that well in this game, even with the weird error by Elly de la Cruz, which probably should have been on Stal, if we're being completely honest, but it was a good win for them. Game 2 was Sal's, I would call it truly his coming out party. In the first 2 innings against Tyler Mahle, old friend Tyler Mahle, he remembered how much he did not like playing in Cincinnati, probably compared to being in San Francisco, where the ball does not fly out nearly as easily. He would go only 4 innings, give up 8 earned runs. Sal would have 2 3-run home runs, which was absolutely massive for this team. Suarez and Elly de la Cruz would also add home runs of their own. The big story here was Rhett Lauder. If Brock Burke had helped him out just a little bit, he wouldn't have given up all these runs. But 6 2/3, 5 hits, 3 earned, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. A good bounce back game for him. The Reds did produce 10 hits in this one, including hits by Friedel. Sal, obviously. Suarez had 3. Spencer Steer had 2. Tyler Stevenson had 1. He is starting to heat up as well. And then in the last game in this series, the Reds would drop it 3-0 because generally it has felt like getaway days have been for years at this point the crux and the issue of this team. Day games after night games have been a struggle. The Reds would get one hit. PJ Higgins getting his first hit of the season would keep the Reds from getting no hit against Landon Roop and company. They would strike out 6 times, walk twice. Chase Burns had an excellent start. He went toe-to-toe, only giving up 2 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. He bounced back in a big way. It would be Brock Burke. Unfortunately, he would struggle again in this one. He would give up 3 runs, none of them earned. A major fielding error by Elly De La Cruz here. Unfortunately, even though it was a tough hop, I will give him that. Would ultimately be the downfall of the Reds. But Joe, they would take care of business against a Giants team that was struggling even worse than they were. They would get them to 11-8 at this point, Joe, which is pretty solid, I would say. And it was an interesting one. A quick stat here for you, Joe, before we dive into it. Sal accounted for 8 of the 10 runs in this series. So, pretty crazy. That's just kind of what he does, it seems like.
No, he's becoming more and more professional hitter. We see his stats kind of declining a little bit, but when it's all said and done, it's like, okay, what were they just supposed to do? Stay at over 300 all year? He's a rookie. I think where he's hitting now is probably where he's going to end up. 278. Maybe not as many home runs because it's been crazy how many home runs he's been able to hit this year so far. But he's able to really help this team out. I think game 1, Brady Singer showing the innings eating again. It's so huge to have someone like that, especially right now with some injured guys with Lodolo and Green out. So again, we had to get him going a little bit at different points, but having him be able to eat the innings in game 1 was huge for this team. Steer and Stewart home runs in that game. That was nice. Second game, Louder is kind of losing it a little bit, but like you said, it was solid. It was fine. He's a rookie. He's a rookie too, and it's going to happen. The Suarez, Elly, and Sal Stewart, middle of the lineup. Home runs were amazing. Those guys are pretty much all the offense right now, to be honest. So that was good for them. And then Chase Burns keeps on rolling. Game 3, no run support. This was also the game where we had a little bit of a kerfuffle, we could say, after on game 2, Spencer Steer gets that time called against JT Brubaker, and they have those words, and then they hit Steer. Steer seems like he's fine with it, and then we go and hit them, and we get tossed, and it's like one of those things where why was there no warning after Steer was hit? Like, it's okay to say like, okay, one guy, you can't really warn the teams before the game when it's just like verbal Steer saying throw the ball. But after Steer said warn both teams, and then that's fine. Then you can throw out whoever you want. But it didn't seem like there was any warning. I'm excited to see what these teams do when they play in August. Maybe it'll be a point where everyone forgets about it because it's 4 months away. But especially because Steer wants to move on, and he was the one that was kind of the most affected. And then at the end of the game, Sal Stewart was, kind of mad about the pitcher yelling at him and kind of walks off the field and starts something with them too. And that was interesting I think it's mostly, those guys, Giants, trying to celebrate a little bit too much. They're having a rough season so far, especially for expectations. And I'm glad the Reds are sticking up for themselves, for one. And I'm glad that someone decided to stick up for Spencer Steer because he didn't want to make it about him or anything else on the team. He was going to take his free base. But yeah, it was kind of an odd end of the series, other than, the Reds did lose the game. They won the series, and the Giants are out there celebrating like they won the World Series and talking trash to Sal. And I'm glad they stuck up for themselves. It's about time we show some fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Sal Stewart is really coming into his own in terms of just being like a dude for this team already. He's like emotionally, invested every at bat. He had an at bat yesterday, Joe, against the reliever for the Twins we'll talk about later, but he had a 10 pitch at bat. Everybody's struggling. He ended up crushing the ball to the left, and I think it went right to a guy. But it's just he is I think helping this entire team along right now. I think him and Gino are the 2 biggest acquisitions that you could have because, like you said, they're not only carrying the offense, I think, in a pretty significant way, but I think they're doing so even with the way that they play. The Cowboys said it on air yesterday where it was Gino is just coming in and showing how to just erase that last at bat, just come in and have a productive at bat the next time. And I think that is starting to spread to the rest of the team. And it's just been really impressive, Joe, if I'm being honest with you. I've really loved seeing how this team is doing things. I mean, even, I want to give credit where credit's due because we'll talk a lot about Suarez, I think, in the Twins game. But, I mean, he had a combined 46 walks last season, 49 walks the season before. He's already got 9 this year, Joe. He is well on pace to potentially have the most walks he's had since the Cincinnati season for him in 2017, where he walked 84 times. His strikeouts are down as well. He is making some serious contact. This is a beautiful thing. Like they're playing good baseball, and like you said, I love the fire that's coming from them as well. Like when Steer did that to me signaled, I was like, okay, Steer is ready to like really kind of come out of his shell. And we saw that even a little bit more during the Twin series as well. So huge shout out to Steer for, I think, getting them fired up, and Sal kind of continuing it. I'm cool with it. You're going to lose games here and there. You can't win every single game. So it still felt like we got something out of that last game in the Giants series. And it felt like the pitching was really back on track in this one, Joe. Pretty much everybody pitched well in this series. I know the Giants are really struggling, but I don't believe, let me check, I want to make sure, but I don't believe, yeah, I mean, other than the Brock Burke 3 unearned runs, but there was not a single earned run given up by the bullpen in this series, which is pretty impressive. When you know that you can hand the ball over to those guys and they're going to get the job done. I mean, Tony Santillan has still not given up a run this season. So it's been really, really, really encouraging, and it was nice to see the young guys get it back. I will say, I think Louder, the one thing I do want to talk about with the pitching really quickly, and we saw it a little bit in this series. Again, we'll talk about it in the next series as well. It feels like the guys who are known for being able to hit their spots are the ones who are struggling the most right now. So that is something that I think that you can fix. Like, that's generally mechanics. So, it is just interesting to note that. I felt like that's worthy of noting because it's Louder, it's Abbott, and it's Singer. While, obviously that's not everything. Those 3 are the ones who I think are struggling the most, and I think that those are things that can be fixed. So to your point with Louder, I actually think the fact that he's struggling at times with command so far is actually something that can be fixed. So the fact that he's able to pitch through that, still get through almost 6 innings with 3 earned runs or less, still getting these close to or quality starts is, I think, extremely important for us, and something that I am personally very happy with. So great series there. You got any thoughts? I'm going to start tracking this, by the way. The Reds did go 2 for 13 with runners in scoring position in this series, so not ideal. But I think those 2 hits literally were just the home runs by Sal Stewart. So not great. Because I think the other 4 runs in this series were all solo home runs.
Yeah, I was just going to say the power is saving us, right? The pitching, the power, the defense is all saving us. I would like to get more people on base. We are even worse batting average team than we were last week when we were, very mad. We're 202 batting average right now.
Worse than the league.
That has to change, and I'm glad for right now for this week. When you're playing some of these teams that we don't expect to be as good, you can get by with the pitching, the defense, and the 1 or 2 run home runs. But when you play some other teams, you got to get some more consistent offense. So it's not like, it's good they won this series. It's good that we're going to talk about the Twin series that went really well. It's really awesome. It doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet. Like I said, we're taking the low-hanging fruit for now. We need to do a little bit better than that if we want to be exactly how good of a team we want to be.
Okay, and that sets us up for this Twin series, Joe, I think perfectly. The Reds go into Minnesota, into the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. And they come out with a 2-1 win on the Friday game. It was another great pitching performance. Brandon Williamson has learned how to pitch around trouble in a big way. He walked 4 guys, only struck out 2, but he only gave up 3 hits and 1 earned run. He went 5 1/3, lowered his ERA down to a 4.35. It was ultimately a single by Eugenio Suarez that would knock in the only 2 runs of the game in Elly de la Cruz and Sal Stewart, I believe. It was them. And the Reds would come out, like I said, on top. Connor Phillips, Graham Ashcraft, Tony Santillan, and Emilio Pagan would come in and shut the door on the Twins. The lone run, coming from Austin Martin off of Brandon Williamson, but kept them in check. Game two was a 5-4 win, a comeback win for the Reds. It looked like they were kind of struggling. Taj Bradley has been really good this season, but the Reds would be able to get to him. They would get 2 runs off of him, but it was just great at bats from the whole team. Some big ones, sac flies by Rhys Hines, RBI base hit by Elly, but the dagger would come with Dane Myers, who would hit a bloop single into right field. And this was a day where Andrew Abbott just did not have it whatsoever. He couldn't even get through the fifth. 4 2/3, 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 3 walks, 3 Ks. But yet again, the bullpen would come in and shut it down. They would not give up an earned run whatsoever, and that gives your team a chance to win. The Reds would finally start to hit with runners in scoring position. They'd go 3 for 9 in this one, Joe. Tyler Stevenson as well, starting to heat up. He would have a big sac fly, a big hit to drive in a run as well. The Reds would get 11 hits in this game. And you would think, all right, like the Reds are already 4-1 on the week, Joe. We're heading into the Sunday game. Whatever happens, we're probably going to be happy with it. And the Reds looked dead once again through this one. Brady Singer would actually pitch again a pretty good game for him. 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, 2 Ks. The Reds staff has been struggling to not walk people. Their control again has been pretty, I would say, bad overall. The guy who we all thought would have the control problems has probably had the best control so far this season, funny enough, of the starters, but they're learning how to pitch around it. And with your great defense behind you, I know everybody's still mad about Key Brian Hayes, and I get it, but the defense has been pretty outstanding for him so far. Kyle Nicholas would come in and have another good game on this one too. Pagan would actually blow a save, his second one for the season, which was a little frustrating because the Reds would come back. They'd get one all the way up until the 9th inning where they would have a huge hit by TJ Friedel with bases loaded, his first extra base hit of the season, to drive in 3. They go up 4-3. The Twins would come back. Then in the 10th inning, the Reds would just pour it on them. A huge double by Rhys Hines to drive in 2. The Reds would go up 7-4. And but Graham Ashcraft would come in, a guy who a lot of people are hoping may get a chance at the closing job in the future if needed, would come in and take care of business. The Reds did strike out 10 times against Bailey Ober. He looked pretty good, but also benefited with more calls. Hunter Wentelstad, I think I saw, had 22 missed calls and 16 went against the Reds, including 4 for strikeouts. And I was sitting there, I was like tapping my head. I'm like, guys, these balls are not even close. So many times they just wouldn't do it. I think they were afraid to, but it doesn't matter. The Reds would get the sweep twice in comeback fashion against a Twins team that had been hitting, by the way, very well. The Reds would hold them overall to 9 runs. The Reds would obviously outscore them, but putting up 14 runs is still pretty good for this team. Very happy about it. I don't love that we scored 6 in the final 2 frames, but I mean, you can't complain about it, Joe. They're getting wins. They are hitting in the clutch when they need to. They're having good at-bats finally. I would say this week was my number one thing that I saw from the hitters as well. The hits were starting to come. They were also just having better bats for the most part.
They were. This was a series that was, again, just kind of really sums up the week of, they took care of business. This was something they should have done. The Twins are a team that, other than Byron Buxton, they are trying to tear down. They tried to do almost everyone else away. Carlos Correa is back with the Astros and everything. It's not the same Twins team that has been kind of competitive, even if their record kind of said so coming into the week.
Yeah.
So it was good for them. Again, starting pitching has been pretty good overall. The Abbott struggles. I think he's actually really close to figuring it out. If you listen to the Cowboy, he kind of seemed to think that too. He's just kind of getting back into a rhythm, and once you start, missing up, you have to get back to the normal of missing down and kind of getting into the zone. So there was a lot of good conversation there, and I do think he's kind of close to getting back, and I have faith he will, especially as time goes on here. The bullpen has been lights out all season long. Pagan has not maybe had the best season, but almost everyone else has been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we did get some excitement from Kyle Nicholas, who had the, as they were talking on the broadcast, the Ricky Karcher type appearance where he goes in and throws it all over the place, but somehow gets 3 outs and gets out of it. But no, I think there is a larger discussion to be had about Emilio Pagan not being the closer. Still has a valuable role in this bullpen, I think. But I think if you're going to go for anyone on the roster, I'm going Tony Santillan. Still has
Yep.
not allowed an earned run this year. And honestly, if we're being totally honest, I like our bullpen, but I also think it wouldn't be a bad idea just to go get a star closer at the deadline. It'd be nice, and it really would help these other guys have different roles. Yeah, the offense had a little bit better approaches at the plate. We had some clutch times. Myers clutch single in the second game of the series. Even when we did score in the third game of the series, Elly scored on that error too, and it was
Yeah,
kind of
that
like
was
he got held up at
wild.
third base, and he maybe could have made it if he went all the way through, but the error he kind of stumbled and came back, and then he went home, and so it's almost like we are taking again we're just taking advantage of what's given to us. That was a play that maybe he could have scored, but um, it wasn't like I'm overly impressed with the offense. I think we're just doing a really good job of, for the most part, smart base running. We saw Matt McLean getting that run down intentionally earlier in game three to kind of tie it up. And I think it's good if you play smart baseball, you can win these type of games. And once the offense does come through, that's going to be really good. So, Rob, we are 10-0 in games that are decided by 2 runs or less yet this so
It's
far this season. That
crazy.
is a record. So we are going to try to keep that up, but it would also be nice to kind of win some pretty easily here soon too. I mean, I feel like 7-4 is kind of misleading for yesterday's game because it went into extra innings, but we need to get the offense flowing a little bit better. I know we're going to talk about it a little bit more here in a little bit about what needs to change with it because there really is some big issues still, even though we are winning these games. But you're in a good spot. If the Reds, you have some time to make adjustments here. You have time to make trades, bring people up, all that stuff because of how you started the season. And yes, it's been an easier schedule, but 6 games above 500, Rob. I mean, this is exactly what we said they needed to do. We said maybe 5 to 10 games above 500 after April, and there's 10 days left, and they look like they're well on that pace. Knock on wood, because they seem to have one good week followed by one bad week, as last week was bad. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is that the Reds are actually top 10 in walks, which is I think carrying them pretty hard. They already almost have 100 walks for the season, which is I think it's worth noting for sure. And you're seeing guys walk at much higher paces right now. I mean, Matt McLean's got 15 walks to 22 strikeouts. I know he's not hitting as well as people would like, but his on base percentage is still 337, which is actually really solid. Sal Stewart's got 14 walks to 17 strikeouts. Elly's 10 to 30. Friedel's 10 to 21. I can go down the list here, but the team is walking at a very high pace right now, which is, I think, very important and something for people to note. There was also, and I guess we won't, I'll wait. We'll do the larger hitting stuff here in a minute because I have a very interesting Reddit post, Joe, that talks about what the Reds are doing statistically and where there may be some changes coming. But, it's what's important that we saw in this series and that we've seen with the Giants series is that this team is never giving up. When it comes down to the clutch, they are getting it done. What's really funny is they're not clutch in the first 6 innings. When the 7th, 8th, and 9th come around, it's like their brains lock in, their bats get better. And I don't know if maybe this is just a team mentality. It's like, okay, first 3 innings, first, time through the order, you do what you want. And then it's like the last 6 innings, specifically the last three, they are locking in more. They've seen more. I don't know what it is, but I would really love for their at-bats to be better early, I think has been the thing that I've noticed. But, they're as clutch as any team as I've ever seen. Even the 2023 Reds where they were the rally Reds and they'd always come back. It's not even just that. It's that this team is like playing in close ball games and they are getting the job done, and it's everybody. And again, it helps when your bullpen is arguably the best bullpen in baseball right now. I believe they have the best ERA. They are way ahead of most other bullpens in every way. I mean, we're complaining about Kyle Nicholas, and there's a pretty good shot that he will be getting sent down as soon as Caleb Ferguson is ready. And he was supposed to be maybe our number 2 or 3 guy, right, in this bullpen, at least our best lefty. And, Sam Mole and Burke have gotten the job done so far, although I think Mole is starting to fall off a little bit. So, getting Ferguson in sooner rather than later will be good. But, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I just don't know why they do so much better against the bullpen. I don't, like, it feels like it's been this way for years with this team, but they went 6 for 29 with runners in scoring position, which is significantly better compared to what they have been doing. And I'm just really happy with the way that they're just playing right now. I don't know what else to say, but I mean, a 5-1 week is as good as you can hope for in baseball. And if you can do a few of those a year, then you're going to be in a pretty good spot. So yeah, I just wanted to give those thoughts. I don't know what your thoughts are on the clutchness, but yeah, where are you at with that?
Yeah, and it's not for the hitting part of it. It's not like they're facing all the most terrible bullpens right now. The
Yeah.
Giants top 10 ERA bullpen, Marlins top 10 ERA bullpen. There's teams got like the Twins have one of the worst bullpens in the league. I think they rank around 25th. So it's around, but it's not like it's just all bad bullpens are taking advantage of. They're doing a good job once they get to that point. I think just having more of the power element in the lineup with Gino there and with Sal being up for this year, I think does give them one crack in the back and change the whole game. Whether it's Suarez home runs or Suarez doubles he's hitting, Suarez singles he's been doing really well. So that's the impressive thing is they're taking advantage of good bullpens overall. We'll see how they do against like elite bullpen relievers. When they get kind of closer to like having one-on-one matchups. Like Aroldis Chapman obviously gave us fits, but he's awesome.
Yeah, he's been unreal.
So,
Yeah.
but I don't know if we really faced all those guys who are like that good yet. But we've done a good job as the hitting. The pitching side of things, 2.31 ERA. The next closest bullpen ERA is 2.69 by the Braves. I expect it to fall. I expect this to still be really, really good this season. Don't get me wrong, but that is really good, and that is, again, reason one why we are probably where we're at is probably bullpen. I would say reason two might be starting pitching, even though that's kind of fallen off. Reason three might be defense, even though I'm impressed with defense overall. It's just there are some issues. Obviously, Elly errors, or like you said, the one should have been on Sal, but and then fourth is hitting. So it's kind of like power hitting, and then after that, it's pretty much like maybe walks. If you're going down the reasons why the Reds are where they are, but again, just doing the things they should do. This bullpen is good, and they're getting these teams that are not very good. They're taking care of business, and that's what you have to do if you're going to be a good team. Is you have to win the ones you should win.
I'll give you a quick stat here. I just checked to make sure I was right. The only earned run given up by the bullpen all week was the Emilio Pagan blown save. They gave up 4 runs overall, technically. Again, the error is what really kind of screwed the Brock Burke one. But other than that, the only earned run all week. I mean, even Pagan's going to have an earned run every once in a while, guys. And he was pretty good through the rest of the week as well on his own. So, I don't know, man. You literally cannot ask for more from a bullpen. I mean, this reminds me of those 2010 to 2013 bullpens where it felt like things were very good. Pagan does remind me of Coco Cordero, funny enough, Joe, where it's always going to be a little interesting. But generally speaking, he's going to get the job done. So we'll see, though. Again, I mean, when you have a guy like Tony Santillan there, it's got to be enticing, even for Terry, who's like, yeah, we're paying, Pagan to be the closer. But, I mean, Santillan got a save this week. So just saying, we'll have to see kind of what happens there. And, I mean, even Graham has kind of become an absolute baller right now. I mean, he is throwing lights out, dude. It's been fun to watch. But let's move into our larger hitting discussion. So I want to give a quick thing. The Reds have the worst batting average on ball put in play at 248 for the season. You can see it. I don't know that I've seen a more unlucky hitter than Ke'Bryan Hayes. The Reds are actually one of the best teams in barrel percentage. They are top 5. And they're actually really good at hitting the opposite field. It's mostly because I think they struggle a little bit with the fastball, which is kind of crazy, but they are intentionally working on that. They are hitting the ball hard. They are barreling it very well. What apparently this person found on Reddit, I want to give them credit. Diggy Quip on Reddit. Love this. One of their tags is the Ricky Karcher experience on the Reds subreddit. But basically, what they're saying here is that the Reds' launch angle is actually where the issue is coming up. They are having more pop-ups in the infield, more fly ball outs than a lot of other teams right now. But they're making really good contact. It is truly just going at people constantly. So what their suggestion is that eventually things will even out and the Reds will start having their launch angles will probably go back to normal a little bit. And if that continues, then the Reds will start to hit as a team. So I wanted to tee it up with that. I mean, you guys should go give this a look on Reddit. Make sure that you give this person an upvote, honestly, because this was some really interesting reads. And somebody who's clearly been looking at the deeper statistics. It does ultimately come down still to the Reds just have to hit at some point. Again, I point out Ke'Bryan Hayes because that man, Joe, I don't know about you, but he is hitting line drive after strong contact, things that we thought he could not do last season. And yet he is still like 3 for 40 something. So it is really actually just kind of sad at this point, because I've never seen a man who's, he finally got one to drop and Stevenson gets thrown out at second. Like, I mean, it's just been crazy all week. It felt like he was due for a hit. I've been making the comparison to Major League with the voodoo. Maybe he's got to do something like that, but apparently Tito said he'd be willing to sacrifice a human if necessary to get the bad juju out. But the larger hitting discussion is, you said that these guys had a week, Joe. 1 week to get it together. Who is in and who is out for you? Where obviously Suarez, Sal, and Elly, they're in. We know that for certain. Who else is in for you? Where we're going to play this game for right now.
Yeah, there's no good options here. It's as bad as it's Tyler Stevenson. Obviously limited playing time and his batting average is bad. I still think he's doing decently well for what he's doing. I think more so, Rob, I want to change the order. And I want to change it very soon before I start making issues with players who might be cut or, whatever. I think because, we had Marte up here playing right field a little bit. Obviously, Benson played right field a little bit too. Now we have Reese Hines up here. Nice clutch hit for Reese Hines. I'm obviously willing to give him more than 5 games played before we give a total judgment on him. It's not like he's killing it, right? It's 118 batting average, 1 clutch hit. That's what we're working with, right? So, I can sit here and say, oh, we're going to send these guys down. Who do you bring up? I mean, obviously, we have a couple guys I think we're going to talk about it possibly bringing up. But then you're just burning options, right? Because it's been a week. What I want to do is I want to have all of our good hitters hitting at the top of the order. So I want to have Elly leading off, I want to have Sal batting second, and I want to have Gino batting third. Now, if you want to say, hey, I think Matt McClain's walks, are a little bit about people adjusting to the new ABS challenges, the new strike zones that are measured. If you want to say, let's keep McClain up there because he's drawing walks right now, fine. We can have Elly 1, McClain 2, Sal 3, Gino 4. That's fine. But that's more what I want to do. I totally agree with you, Rob. I think Brian Hayes especially more than anyone, but all the rest of the team, there's a lot of guys getting robbed of hits right now.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that is something that will end up figuring itself out. But right now, it's not like we can sit here and wait for that to happen. We have to get our best guys at the top of the order. And for a point, like we said earlier, Rob, we're getting a lot of these 1-2 run home run games. We need these guys to get all of the at bats because 6 home runs for Elly, 7 home runs for Sal, 3 home runs for Gino, but also some doubles and singles mixed in there as well. Elly and Sal, despite batting third and fourth, lead the teams in run by a pretty good margin, 18 and 15. So we need to get those guys on the bases if they're going to be productive when they are on the bases. We've seen some good base running by both of them so far this season. So that's what I want. I want to shake up the order, and I think Elly's speed in the leadoff spot will be good. And you know what? He's not a traditional leadoff spot guy. I get it. He's not going to walk as much as other guys. He's on base percentage is just as good as Matt McClain's right now. It's obviously better than TJ Friedel's by a decent margin right now. I would shake up the batting order. I would do it so that the guys who are hitting are getting rewarded. 1, we're getting them to the plate. 2, so that we can get the most at-bats for them to possibly get the most runs generated for us, whether it's home runs or getting on base, so other people can knock them in. And I think what it would do is take pressure off of some of these guys. Because, again, I think some of these guys, a lot of it is mental. Like Brian Hayes, I don't think he's changed his approach at all. He's still hitting the ball hard. But guys like McClain, we've seen the mental impact of what the game has done to him. Some of these guys aren't playing every day, whether that's Will Benson or Dane Myers or Nathaniel Lowe, who actually has been playing a little bit more than I expected at this point of the season. So that's what I would do personally. I'm not saying, I'm not going to say we need to send this player down right now. I'm going to say let's change the order. And, yes, everyone is on the chopping block, I think, in terms of we need to get runs, and I think it's going to balance out. But you can't have TJ Friedel batting 154 in the leadoff spot every day. You can't. Even if his on base percentage is 267, that's still just not good enough. We still only have 4 players with a positive WAR. Gino got back up into the positives. It's Elly, Sal, Gino, and Tyler Stevenson. I don't fully believe in war, especially at this point of the season, but I do think it gives a good indication that most of our team is not playing very well. So my goal is to shake up the order, give guys like Reese Hines another week, see how they do. Yes, we could definitely bring up some other guys who I like a lot of them down in AAA, but again, you have to worry about the options when you're doing that. Ultimately, though, I think they might need to make a trade for another bat. Even if it levels out a little bit, the outfield has been so non-productive this season. They need a big bopper in the outfield.
Yeah, I mean, this is where Luis Robert would have been really nice, especially considering he's hitting on a Mets team that is doing absolutely nothing. But we wouldn't have been able to get Suarez because of the money. So I'm cool with that trade. But yeah, being able to get somebody, I just don't know that they have the money to, Joe. I think expecting a trade is pretty much out of the question unless if this team is like you guys and myself and Joe. We got to go to the ballpark. It's really annoying because we've been saying they need to spend in general. I have a whole thing for the offseason, Joe. I hope I'll remember it. But seeing that what the Padres just sold for like a record $4 billion or whatever it was, I think. I know Cincinnati wouldn't sell for that much, but I don't see how a team that could be money hungry or money starved, whichever one you would like to put, doesn't see that and go, maybe we could become billionaires, like actual billionaires by selling this team. I feel like the Reds partners should be pushing for that, especially if they want a competitive team during the offseason. But regardless of that, either that or they should come to the Castellinis and say, here's, $5 million extra dollars, go out and get another player. But again, either way, my point remains more that, this team is going to hit. I think Joe eventually, Brian Hayes has struck out 5 times in 52 at-bats. I mean, what I don't know. I mean, he's making solid contact. I just don't really know what else to say for him. I feel really bad at this point because I feel like he is crushing the ball. And I feel like by the way, I will say this too, as it starts to heat up, a lot of these balls that keep going to the wall are going to go over. I feel like once we get into like mid-May, if this team just kind of keeps doing what they're doing, I feel like they are going to hit a significant amount of home runs over the summer. The problem is you also play in September and October if you're in playoff baseball. So you gotta figure it out by then as well. You can't just rely on the humidity to be that X factor for you. But I did want to bring that up. What I will say is I actually think I would be in on McLean and Steer. McLean is still giving good at-bats for the most part. It feels like, though, he is pressing a little bit. It felt like Reese Hines was, too. He finally got the monkey off his back the last 2 games, getting his first 2 hits. I want to see him play the next 5 straight games, at least 5 of the next 6 games. I just want to see it. And now, if his biggest problem still is that he's striking out, but you can see him visibly and physically making cringes and just like getting upset with himself at every single curveball that is thrown that he is swinging at right now. You can see him telling himself, don't do that, don't do that. I think he's just too hyped, and he just needs to just take a deep breath, let the game come to him. That swing yesterday, Joe, was the best swing I've seen from him all season long. And it's not just because it was a double. I mean, like, that was the best barrel contact percentage I've seen. If this dude can figure it out up here, there's a chance he can be a very big producer on this team. But he's got the week, because JJ Bleday to me he's a professional hitter. He is absolutely crushing the ball at this point. There is zero reason why you do not bring him up if these guys keep doing this. Like, I understand, maybe some of the hesitation from everybody, but something's got to give. I mean, even Will Benson at this point is 6 for 32. Something. I love these guys. I love them. Like, I want to give them all the opportunities. But you and I have been talking about 100 at-bats, Joe. Those 100 at-bats are coming up real fast. They will be coming up this week for a lot of guys. People have got to start hitting. It feels like they're close. They hit 37 hits this week, Joe, which is actually for the Reds quite a bit at this point. I want to see 50 hits this week. I want to see them get it done. And again, there's another guy, Hector Rodriguez. Everybody's talking about him right now, and it's because he is also playing very well. Edwin Arroyo is playing very well. Like, people may not want to hear this, but like, if McLean continues to struggle and can't figure it out like he was in spring training and in the first 2 series, right? If the outfield continues to struggle, to me, it's you just ship them all out and you go, all right, let's bring these guys up because they're not going to make trades. And if Hector Rodriguez can be that guy, he's got a very quick, good at bat. He's pretty solid overall. If McLean can't get it done, Edwin Arroyo is a contact guy. He may not give you a ton of power, but he will get on base. And he will hit the ball, although he's been hitting with some power now that he's healthy and a little bit older as well. So, I mean, I'm not like give up on everybody, but I think like realistically, McLean and Steer are the only ones, and I guess maybe Stevenson are the only ones I'm kind of more in on. Steer specifically, Joe has gotten 13 of his 14 hits in his last like 50 at bats or something like that. He is currently batting like 260 over the last 2 or 15 games or something like that. So I think he's really starting to come out of it, and he is a known slow starter. So if they did the lineup the way that you were saying, I would want Steer at that 5 hole, and I want him playing pretty much every day at this point because I do think that he deserves that. And even with the ugly game against Bailey Ober, he still found a hit later on in a big moment. So yeah, I mean there are guys who are going to need to figure it out. As much as I really think Key Brian Hayes is a defensive wizard, if the hits don't start falling, you got to start playing Gino and Sal over there at third base on a regular basis. I really don't care. I mean, if it comes down to you put Gino at third and you move Sal to second, you put Steer at first, and you've got, Hector Rodriguez out there in the outfield, and JJ Bleday, like, I don't really care at this point because you are not going to get pitching this good all season for the most part. They're going to need to score some runs to help them out. Even if this is the best pitching staff in Reds history by the end of the season, they will still need more help than what they are getting right now.
Yeah, they definitely will. Again, I'm fine with that. I think if you're gonna start putting anyone on the chopping block, it is very much those outfielders. I'm still fine with McLean in a large way. I'm still fine with Friedel. I just want to move him down in the order for now.
Yeah, he's been mostly
it really. Steer's been good too. He's been heating up a little bit. I want to give these guys more time. It's the other guys I think really do need to step it up. Whether that's Hines, whether that's Benson, and yeah, it's like one of those things where I think it might be too early to kind of bring up Rodriguez or Bleday just because we just brought up Hines. If you were going to bring up one of those guys, you could have brought him up instead of Hines if you wanted to do that. I think some of the fans would have rioted, but again, Hines is going too. It's like you can't just be a guy who can hit AAA pitching for all this time, and then you come up here and they don't throw you fastballs, and then you can't hit it. Like that's
gotta figure it out.
They got to figure out how to hit breaking balls, and if not, then you have to go back down to AAA and figure it out, or we got to trade you to someone else. That's something that needs to be kind of talked about. I do think we have some other options for outfield, and I think someone will figure out how to give us some production out of the outfield. I think Freedom will come along. I think Steer will be fine in left. I hope one of the other two guys will day. Rodriguez, specifically, the guy I think long term is going to be an option for us. I think those guys can kind of fill out. It does make you just wonder, Rob, like you said, how much money do they have? Are they willing to do a trade? If they are, like if they're still at the top of the division by the time the trade deadline comes around, or even close, do they have any more money? Can they squeeze them? Can we squeeze the owners out of a couple more $1 million? Because that's sometimes all it takes. So, on days like this, it kind of reminds me of Miguel Andujar, who cheap player. The Padres gave him $4 million. Right now, he's batting over 300 for them in like 21 games played. He's actually hitting righties better than lefties this year too, which is kind of interesting. And yes, the defense sucks. I don't know if I want him playing every day, but could you imagine having a bench piece like Andujar, like we did last year, where he plays left field some days when Gino's DHing. When Gino plays third, he's the DH. Could you mix and match a little bit to get more production where he's playing more? And it was $4 million for this guy who absolutely tore it up for us last year. So I'm not saying I do think that it'll even out a little bit. I do think that getting a big outfield bat is still part of, if you're talking about team needs, I think that's number one. I do think number two is still possibly getting an elite closer. Depending, we could figure it out in-house too, but that's possibly number two. But that's like sometimes all it will take. So obviously they just they made that trade last week, Rob, to get cash considerations. Maybe that can help get some more cash considerations, trade some of these guys, throw them in the trade for possibly some guy like Miguel Andujar, who's not going to be the greatest star outfielder, but could have been an impactful player on this team given the struggling offense. And again, defense, I get it. I don't want him playing every day. I don't want him being that guy, but in a time where we can pick between Brian Hayes playing third base, who can't get a hit despite him hitting the ball hard, and Andujar, who can't play defense. At some points, you have to make your decisions, and we just don't have even a decision to make right now because we don't have the roster for it.
Yeah, what's interesting is I will say, so the Reds did move their way up. They are not the least amount of runs scored anymore. They are actually fifth. There are offenses that are around them that should be good. Boston, Philly, San Francisco, New York Mets, like even the Royals, right, with Bobby Witt. Like, these are teams that should be hitting better, and I think that they, like the Reds, will start to hit better. I think you'll start to see, the White Sox and the Rockies and even the Mariners probably start to kind of drop down again. But, I will say my point is that there are some really good teams with some good players who, if the Reds are like, hey, we need to get a guy who's going to go to free agency next year but is hitting really well, all you need is like $7-8 million. You're going to make that in the very first series, no matter what, right? And so I just, dude, if I'm Nick Kroll, I'm there every week. I'm like, hey, how much money we got? Hey, how much money can we get here? This team, because it's like, if the outfield starts to hit at all, if anybody outside of Sal, Elly, and Gino start to hit even a little bit, like the rest of the team, if the other 6 hitters can hit like a combined like 230 to 250 for the rest of the season, they might be one of the best teams in baseball with this pitching staff, because you're getting Lodolo back sooner than later, it sounds like. You're going to get Hunter Green back right probably after the All-Star break, because he's already started throwing, by the way. Mm-hmm. Bro, it's like you do that, this team with Tito and the way that he is kind of moving these strings and getting these guys to believe in themselves, and the way that they've learned how to come back in baseball, and Elly's playing well, and Sal's looking like a potential rookie of the year, and Gino Suarez has found a way to hit singles for the first time in years that I can remember, like, then you have a very legitimate, like a World Series legitimate type of team. And I'm not trying to like overstate, like, because they could go 0-6 this weekend, and we're back to 14-14. And I'm sitting here like, well, shit, maybe we're not that good. But like, if their pitching can continue to just be top 5, doesn't have to be number 1, but just top 5, top 6, you get the bats going a little bit, dude. Like, this is like a really like an actual contending team, very contending.
Yeah, I think this might lead into our next discussion, Rob, but I thought it was a good point. The situation has to come into fact, too. Like, we saw right now, we talked about the American League, everyone's bunched up. There's no one really separating themselves. Maybe the Yankees are starting to. I look at, like, the National League, and the Mets can't win a baseball game. They've lost 11 straight. That's very funny and on brand after last year and after some of their commenters talk shit about the Reds.
Yep.
Phillies are 5 games under 500. I would say right now there's like 2 or 3 teams in the National League that really scare me. Obviously the Dodgers, the Braves, they seem like they're back, right? The Padres maybe, like is the maybe one. Other than that, like, yes, do I expect the Phillies to bounce back? Yes. Do I expect, like, if we played the Diamondbacks, do I expect that to be like a good playoff series if we ended up matching up with them? Yes, I would expect that to be a good playoff series. But this is a time where I do think if you did kind of go, like, if you get to the point where you're at the trade deadline and you are first in the Central or second in the Central, say the Cubs have taken the lead, but it's only by a game or 2. If you get those 2 things, if you get maybe a closer and you get maybe a good outfield bat, yes, the Dodgers can beat anyone, and I would pick them to beat the Reds almost regardless, unless the pitching just got crazy. But if it's just 2 teams, for the most part, the Braves and the Dodgers that scare me, and maybe the Padres, this is maybe one of the better years to maybe go for it, too. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that, if for some reason, if some of the other teams struggle with injuries, the Braves and Dodgers struggle with injuries, or some of their pitchers go down, and we have the pitchers healthy at that point, it is a chance you can win that series. Like, again, it's going to be tough to pick against the Dodgers or Braves, specifically the Dodgers, but why not this year? Like, I expect things to level out a little bit, but, like, this is not, like, a top-heavy, other than the Dodgers, Major League Baseball right now.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, look, the Cardinals are playing way above what they should be. The Pirates, you could argue the Cubs and the Brewers. Like, power rankings, by the way, just came out. The Reds were 4th out of the NL Central teams. Not even 4th overall. 4th in the NL Central teams. So I understand that they're winning a lot of close games, and that's going to turn people off. But I don't know, man. I mean, to me, this is This is a team that I think deserves a little more respect, and one that they will hit. Like every single pundit out there, even like Buster Olney, all these guys, right? Rosenthal, like they're all literally like, when this Reds team hits, and they will, they are a very legitimate contender. And if they don't start to hit, then yeah, you got to make the changes necessary. Because God bless, man, this pitching staff they're insane. Like they are a bunch of madmen, and they are just going in there. I mean, would you have ever thought that Brandon Williamson would be like arguably the second best pitcher so far in the last like 2 weeks? Like, no. I mean, you're not even getting great starts out of Singer and Abbott, but they're still going 5 and 6 innings. Like the bullpen again gave up one earned run in an entire week. Like, I don't know, man. I just they're gonna have to. If I'm Tito, if I am, Crawl, I'm going to ownership, and I'm like, go to your partners, ask them for money, tell them you'll get, do what they did in Moneyball, where he's like, yeah, like the general manager's like, take it out of my salary, but I want double when I sell him back the next season. It's just stuff like that. Like, I want to see that kind of stuff because I'm scared. I'm scared to hope, because between this and the Bengals, Joe, it just feels like Cincinnati's got some good sports right now, and it just please, just go all in. Like they can beat the Dodgers in a series with this pitching. I am telling you that they can. Right now, I will tell you straight up, if they do, I don't know for sure. But if you get a 7-game, not a 2-game, or 3-game series, if you get a 7-game series against the Dodgers, depending on their injuries, depending on our injuries, depending on if we can get a little bit more out of our hitters, dude, I think this team can freaking go for it. I really do. And there's one team in the AL that scares me, and it's the New York Yankees. Other than that, the AL is pretty weak. I'm really sad. I feel like if the Reds were in the American League, it wouldn't even be a discussion. But that's how it goes.
That emphasizes too. Do I think the Reds are the third best team in the National League, fourth best team in the National League, like the record says right now? No, I do not. Do I think they very well could be if they made these trades, where they're third or fourth, maybe second? Yeah, so am I ever going to put them over the Dodgers? Probably not, unless the Dodgers just have an utter meltdown. But that makes these next couple of weeks important, Rob, because I'm not saying that the front office needs to make a trade today. A lot of people are not giving up on their teams yet. They're not willing to sell these guys. And I understand that. But I think you have to be in position where you're starting to make phone calls. You're starting to prepare for what that might look like if things do go that way. And for the Reds, I mean, the thing that you have to do now is take care of business while the schedule is easier. We have the Tigers this week we're going to talk about, Rob. That's the only really good team we have, I think, for the end of this month. And then we have the Cubs in May, the Astros. We play the Astros, but they stink now. The Guardians, and the Phillies in the middle of May. But, like, the Phillies have been struggling too. Until the end of May, we play the Braves. There's really, this is a very winnable schedule. We can stay 6 games above 500. We could go even further above 500, I would say, too. All that the contingency there is just the bats getting going, because we know the pitching cannot stay at this level, especially the bullpen. They're going to give up runs at some point. So if we can get this good balance of the hitting going and the pitching, maybe taking a small step back but still being very good, again, this is what gets you excited, because there's a chance there could be 10 games above 500, and again, it scares me, knock on wood, to say that, because they do lose to some bad teams sometimes. But this week they took care of business, and if they take care of business, they should be 8 games above 500 at the end of May.
Which would be insane. I mean, that's crazy. All right, Joe, we got to move on, unfortunately, because I think we're really loving this. The Reds are in first place, as a reminder. 6 games above 500. Very happy. Injury updates, very quickly. Jose Trevino, he's hitting in the batting cages. He did yesterday. He's going to catch Caleb Ferguson today, and then he's going to hit against Lodolo on the 21st. So I know he had a slight setback. I think they expect him to potentially be back this week. Caleb Ferguson is going to face live hitters today in Tampa as well. I think if all goes well, either he goes rehab stint or they just bring him back, depending on how it's going. We'll have to see. And then Nick Lodolo, same thing. He threw 31 pitches and 2 simulated innings on the 17th. He's going to bump it up to 3 innings on the 21st is the latest update for him. And then again, good old Hunter Green started throwing. So he may be ahead of schedule. We're not going to pressure him to come back necessarily, because again, I think this team, we're gonna be in a very interesting spot when Hunter Green comes back, because I don't know what you do. at that point fully. I guess B. Willie and Singer go to the bullpen. I don't know. Like, do you trade one of them? Maybe. I really genuinely have no idea. I feel like Brady Singer just gets traded. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think that that's probably what ends up happening for them, but we'll see.
That,
But
that would clear up that money that they
that's
want,
what I
and
mean.
that, so that could be a thing. I do, like I said, I do think that someone will get injured by that point, and like it'll work itself out. If anything, Williamson's gonna be the odd man out, maybe being sent down or going to the bullpen. But again, who do you take out of the bullpen right now? Too is the other thing.
Nope.
So, yeah. So for all these guys, what I would say is let's make sure they're 100% back because we are in a position of power right now. 6 games above 500 in first place. That could change this week, and it could be like, hey, we need these guys back. They could be injuries or whatever.
Yep.
I would say especially like, the pitchers, we have good strengths right now, and even PJ Higgins is playing good backup catcher for us.
He's been
We won
solid.
that walk off challenge on Sunday too. By him was awesome, and I do think like I'm not saying he's better than Trevino. I mean, so far this year he is, but like I think Trevino's best asset to this team is more being like they talk about him wanting to be a manager. It's how he thinks of the game and how he can help the catcher's defense. Higgins, I think, is a very fine for what he's shown so far, backup catcher for us. So I don't even want to rush him back. I'm not saying he's going to replace Trevino, but I feel comfortable as him as our backup catcher for right now if that does happen. So
Yeah.
excited to get all those guys back though and see what they can do.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. We're in an advantageous position. Upcoming games, Joe. We got the Rays, like we said. They had a tough series against the Pirates. They are, 12-9 right now. They're 3 games over 500. And it's going to be an interesting series. Louder will face unknown is what they have right now. I do not think that they know who the starter will be. There is the chance of a bullpen game, Joe, again, even though they threw 8 starters or 8 relievers on Saturday, I believe it was. So they are stretched a bit thin, but then you'll get Chase Burns versus Steven Matz and Brandon Williamson against old friend Nicky Smiles, Nick Martinez. Joe, the Rays have been, I think, a surprising team to most. They're scoring a lot, but they are giving up a lot of runs as well. They've been winning close games to a certain degree as well. I am they're second in the AL East, a division that was supposed to be very tough. A lot of this is coming off of a sweep of the Yankees and the White Sox. But again, Pirates, they actually really struggled against them. They went 1-2 against them. They lost 5-1 and 6-3 and won an 8-7 barn burner in extra innings. How are you feeling about this team right now?
Yeah, overperforming, I think their predictions. I think this is an okay team, but not really great. The Rays are always those teams that like perform above what they actually should with their roster and their payroll. It's something that the Reds, I think, have tried to emulate in certain ways. But yeah, being 12-9 at this point in the season is not something I saw. They're an interesting team too. Like a lot of Reds fans might be cheering for this Rays team in the American League because of the former Reds: Nick Martinez, Jake Fraley, Gavin Lux. Gavin Lux is on the 10-day IL right now, so may not see him. I don't know when that started. But they have some fun players too. Junior Caminero, Yandy Diaz, guys who can hit the ball. Chandler Simpson, who is a Billy
Very
Hamilton
fast.
clone.
Yep.
So that's they remember we talked about him being sent down last year. So it's going to be a interesting series. I would say it's a one that the Reds should win based on the fact, like you said, we don't know what the pitching matchup is today, and they've used a lot of their bullpen, and we're going to see Nick Martinez. And even though he's playing his former team, I think it's a revenge game for us for giving him $20 million last year. I still like Nick Martinez. I still like him a lot, but dude, come on, you made $20 million, and we could have given that to someone. I'm never going to say players shouldn't do that. I'd be doing the same thing if I were him, but. Let's get some revenge. We could have spent that $20 million on someone else. We could have signed him for 7 or whatever. I don't even know what he ended up signing for, Rob. I don't even know. But that's the big thing here. Is I think it's a fun little team, but I do think the Reds will have the advantage. I'll say 2-1. I'm going to say I'll guarantee we win that Nick Martinez start, which probably means they're going to lose it. But I'm going to guarantee it because we need that revenge for that $20 million.
Yeah, I mean, they're another team that has struggled to hit for power as well. I mean, Yandy Diaz is hitting very well. Chandler Simpson is a force out there. Nick Fortes has been, I think, pretty solid. Cedric Mullins has been heating up. He's batting 155, but he had a big home run over the weekend as well, and he's starting to kind of see the ball a little bit better. They're just not really a team, Joe, that worries me all that much. I think they are, like you said, playing well above what they should be right now. But I mean, you can't take away. I mean, Nick Martinez has been pretty solid. He's got a 2.45 ERA, kind of carrying that over. Steven Matz has as well been pretty solid. It's going to be interesting to see who they throw against us. I think we're dodging Drew Rasmussen and Shane McClanahan, even though McClanahan has been not as good this year. I'm going to take it 2-1 here. I do think we'll drop a game, like you said. I can't imagine that we're going to continue this just torrid pace, but I think it's 2-1. It might be the Williamson-Nick Martinez start. Yeah, I could see that being the case. I do think that we get the bats going, though, in this series. I just think that there's a lot of opportunity here, Joe, to get some hits. And we're playing in a controlled environment. The humidity will be in Florida, even though we will be in the controlled environment of a dome. And I just feel like there's a prime opportunity for our Cincinnati Reds in that one. Did you give your prediction? Did I miss that? Did you say 2-1?
No,
Okay, I thought so. Sorry, I was literally just looking at the stats right when you said it then. Okay.
You're good, you're good.
Next, we're into the Tigers, and this one's going to be tough. Andrew Abbott versus Framber Valdez, Brady Singer, Jack Flaherty, and then Rhett Lauder versus Keeter Montero. On the opposite side, this is a pretty freaking solid team overall. From top to bottom, they continue to, I think, impress and surprise people. What's really been surprising is that they're only 12-10, but they'll have at least a few more wins or losses here. They got another game, I guess a fourth game against the Red Sox. I don't really know how that's working with their schedule necessarily, but that is what that is. They've got young stud Kevin McGonigal, who was a top 5 prospect. He has been hitting the ball very well, but this is another team that doesn't necessarily hit for a ton of power. Riley Green has not gotten his power going yet at all. Javi Baez hasn't really either. It's been Kerry Carpenter and Dylan Dingler, but they've been hitting pretty well for the most part. They've been a solid team this year, Joe. Their runs scored are a little bit higher than us, but they've been pitching very well, even better technically in terms of runs allowed than we have, which is kind of crazy, all things considered. Again, their starters have been good. When you have Tarek Skubal, that kind of carries a lot of the load, but their bullpen's been pretty solid for the most part as well. Kyle Finnegan, ever since getting out of Washington, has been a very different player, it looks like, for the most part. And Kenley Jansen's back to doing what Kenley Jansen does seemingly every season. He'll pitch till he's 60 years old, it seems like, and he's going to go for that saves record maybe, but it's a good team. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, they're a pretty solid team overall. We're not getting any walks in the park. Flaherty and Montero are pretty solid, but we are dodging Skubal and Casey Mize, which is good, but you still got to go Framber, Flaherty, and Montero. So I don't know. I think this will be a tough series, but at least we're at home.
Yeah, I think this is a good measuring stick series. As you mentioned, we missed our 2 best starters this year, even though Framber Valdez is the one that was the big contract this offseason. So it's good to miss the 2 good ones. They're still a top 10 bullpen in baseball as well. So there's not going to be like really easy things. My fear for this one is their power is going to get going in our ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm really kind of debating. They don't, obviously don't get a chance to play in a ballpark like ours all too often. And they have some guys who can definitely pull it out of the park really well. This is a very good team. I would say that outside of the Yankees, it might be the team that I think is like the most comfortable. I was saying like they're definitely going to make the playoffs. I'm trying to look at all the AL teams right now, and like you said, Rob, there's not much there. A lot of these teams lost. Like the Astros aren't the same Astros. The Rangers lost Adolis Garcia and some other guys. The Guardians, I'm not really 100% sold on them. I think the Tigers are better. So, yeah, it's a good, maybe the Blue Jays are kind of starting off poorly too, but like this team is good. They should be maybe second or third best team in the American League, and I don't think, like you said, they've not hit their hitting potential so far. The pitching has been lights out, and just kind of like the Reds in a similar way. When the hitting does come on, they're going to be a very, very tough team. So maybe we're lucky to play them when their hitting isn't going off. Overall, I'm going to say 1-2 in this series. I think we lose this series, even though we do miss those 2 best starters they have so far this year. We're playing some very good starters, as you said. The bullpen has been pretty good for them, too. And I just think that their power is going to come through. I could see, we know Abbott sometimes gives up some contact that's kind of big and, gives up some home runs. I think that one might be a tough matchup for us. And then I could see us losing one of the next two starts too. So I'm gonna say 1-2 for a three or for a 500 week, a 3-3 week overall.
I'm also gonna go 1-2. I'm afraid of the Singer Abbott starts, which is sad because generally they're pretty good, but they've just not had their control yet. When they get it, and I know Abbott specifically will, I think he will be doing much better. But so far they've struggled a little bit. I'm gonna have to go with a 1-2 as well. I don't know that they necessarily get the power bats going too much, but I do think that there's a game I think in there that we lose like 6-1 or something like that, and we're sitting here like, well, you can't win them all. And I do believe that. And even if we finish 3-3 on the week, I don't think any of us are going to be really that upset. I mean, that gets them to what, 17-11. I still think that's pretty good. The Cardinals will have to drop off at some point. I mean, the Cardinals and Cubs are on 5-game winning streaks, so it's just somebody's going to drop off at some point, and I think we will just a little bit, but hopefully not too much. Joe, it's been a long one, but I think we needed to get a lot of this out of our system, as we do at the end of every episode. Give us your wise words. Give us your fun facts of the week.
This was posted on the Reds Reddit as well, Rob. Ralph Hinckley posted this. Baltimore has placed the Jake Fraley home run marker. They always do this on Utah Street, that one in right field, where if you have a home run that lands on the street, which happens a decent amount, not a lot, but like a decent amount, they have some marker there for him. So Jake Fraley from last April, his little baseball plaque is there. It is the only Reds player ever to hit one in Baltimore. On that street. So that's something cool to check out if you're ever in Baltimore. It's one of my favorite places to go, my favorite ballparks, my second favorite team. I don't really follow them like the Reds, but if I do have an American League team, it's those scrappy Orioles. Other than that, wanted to mention Connor Phillips was on the Jim Day podcast, and he was talking. I thought it was really interesting, a really good story about how he was battling injuries. He was battling a bad couple of years ago, and he actually had the idea to be a reliever and was like, hey, I can't really pitch long into games right now while I'm recovering from injury. Can I just be a bullpen guy? And they went up the ladder, and everyone was like, yeah, let's just try that. And it ended up working out. And now he's in a place where he loves being, in the bullpen. He loves having runners on. He never thought he'd be a bullpen guy, but kind of circumstance kind of created it. And he's been like one of those guys who's like, a lot of guys who get moved to the bullpen don't like it. And he's been nothing but great with taking that on and been really good for us.
And that's the mentality of a closer, a future potential closer. So I love that. That's what you want to see. It's very nice when the Reds have potentially 3 guys there. And then also want to say, obviously, prodigious power, Jake Fraley, known for that. Kind of funny that he's the only one. I mean, you would have thought maybe Adam Dunn or Junior or somebody else would have done it with the Reds. But kind of crazy that's just Fraley. So...
not as much interleague play back then, buddy.
Yeah, I know, but even still, I remember, I feel like them being there, like somebody else would have done it. I wonder if somebody will do it this year. I could see Elly getting into one, especially against that Orioles pitching staff. But, Joe, look, guys, Reds are playing well right now. We're going to celebrate that. We will be worried and upset about things later on in this season when ultimately things break down at least a little bit. The hope is that they will bounce back as they generally do. But that is going to wrap it up for us on this one. So, from our house to yours, thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.